Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this video, I wanted to talk about my experience on Wim Hof's winter expedition that I did this February. I really wanted to make a whole video of it because I don't want to forget all the little details and what we did each day. And also I want to share kind of what my fears were beforehand and how some of my assumptions were completely wrong. And also I just want to answer some questions that you guys had for me on Instagram. So I'm going to do that at the end, but we're going to get straight into it because I have so much to go through. First thing I want to say though, if you have no idea who Wim Hof is, what his method is, or what the benefits are, how like legit it actually is, I will leave links in the description because I understand the science, but I am not at the point where I can like teach someone it or retell it. Like I don't really remember all those little specific things, but I do know that it's legit. It's proved by science. It makes sense. It has helped me a lot. It has helped me sleep. It has helped me with pain. It has helped me with so many things. It has helped my focus, which really needs help sometimes. So I know personally it has helped me, and I know scientifically it also helps. So anyway, links in the description. And also, I feel like whenever a YouTuber says that, I have to now make a disclaimer that this video is not sponsored or affiliated or I'm not connected to anyone at his team. I wish. Anyway, starting off with how did I find out about Wim Hof? Why did I decide to go on the trip? So my mom introduced me to Wim Hof in maybe 2020. She herself found out about him in like 2019. But I kind of thought she was crazy. I was like, I didn't really know a lot about breath work, and I just thought it was like some sort of meditation and it wasn't legit, but I didn't know that it actually changed your like chemistry inside of you. But she kept recommending it to me. I kept kind of dismissing her. Sorry, mom. But then I saw a documentary of him on YouTube, and I think it was specifically the Yes Theory documentary, which I'm gonna put right here. But that documentary, it blew my mind because I was like, this guy is so cool. Like, that's the first thing I genuinely thought. And for some reason, after that video, the first thought I had was not that he's crazy or that's insane, why would anybody put themselves through that? The first thought I had was, I would love to do that one day. Now, since I already kind of have heard of him through my mom, I knew from the video that like he was legit, except now I was also interested in it. So I did the breathing method a few times with my mom, and it actually helped some back pain, but I never did it consistently. A lot of the times my mom would have to like remind me and tell me to do it with her. And then I think towards the end of 2022, I started practicing a little bit more regularly. I was taking a couple cold showers once in a while. I was doing the breathing method like twice a week, maybe at most. It was around New Year's time, and I was setting all these crazy goals. I was super motivated. I was super excited to start the year, and I was like, I'm gonna change my life this year. Literally just by feeling, I was like, you know what would be amazing for me this year? The Wim Hof winter expedition. I don't know why, but I had a gut feeling that it would just be amazing for me in that moment. And I went on the website. I saw that they had one ticket available, and I'm not kidding, I was checking every day for about a week. It was sold out every day. And that moment that I checked, that I was like, I have a feeling I have to do it this year, it was one ticket available, and I bought that ticket, and I literally could not believe it was happening because I bought the ticket about 3 weeks before I was supposed to go. And at that point, I had never done an ice bath. I had done maybe a total of 15 cold showers in my life, and none of them lasted for longer than a minute. And I had done the breathing method maybe at most 30 times in my life, and I was never super consistent with it. So I was really worried that I was just not prepared. I was worried that I would be terrified, and on the first day I would quit. And I was even thinking like, oh my god, how much does a taxi cost from the place where we're gonna be to the airport, because like what if I can't make it? And I just had all these fears, and whenever a fear would come up, I would just think even more like, this is what I need right now, because I'm so scared of it that I have to go into it. And so yeah, there was two aspects of the fear. The one part of the fear, like I said, was the actual cold. I was like, I hate being cold. Like, how can you put me in an ice bath and expect me to relax? Like, I can't, that's not me. I'm not a person who's good with the cold. I'm not a person who was ever good with the cold. And the second fear I had was more of a social fear, because once I bought the tickets and once it was official that I was going, I started watching every single Wim Hof documentary that there was. And I just noticed that there was so much more men at these expeditions than women, and a lot of them were also kind of like in their 30s, 40s. There wasn't really a lot of people in like their early 20s, and me at the time I was 21 when I'm also still 21, but when I bought the ticket I had just turned 21. My birthday is literally 4th of January, so I was really worried because I genuinely thought out of 100 people I'm gonna be the youngest one there. and like one of the only girls. I thought maybe at most out of 100 people there will be 5 girls. So I was really, really scared, and that was another one of my fears, that I was like, I have to go into it, because if I don't, I'm not gonna grow, and it's so uncomfortable. But like, now that I'm aware of this fear, I have to go into it. So I was very worried for all the 3 weeks up until the event. I told myself I was gonna get ready. I told myself I was gonna be doing cold showers every day. I didn't end up doing that, and I didn't end up prepping basically at all, because I think I was just too stressed about it, and my brain was just like, it's gonna happen later in February. I'm just not gonna think about it till now. So those were my fears beforehand. Now let's get into actually what happened each day. One thing I want to mention as well, I have a lot of photos and videos from the last few days. Like the first 2 days, I don't have that many photos and videos, but as I'm going through each day, you're gonna see photos and videos of what I'm talking about on the screen, so you can visualize it a little bit more. I just want to tell you the structure of the days, because I don't know, when I was going, I was so curious, and I was just researching everywhere, and there was a few videos here and there of people hiking up the mountain for like 6 hours, but no one was really actually talking about what they were doing. And to be honest, I understand why now, because we'll get into that in a second, but every kind of group has their own itinerary, and there's not one specific plan that everybody follows. So I just want to share mine. In case you're planning to go on this, just know your plan could be completely different, like completely different. A lot of the times it's kind of decided on the day or the day before. So this is just me sharing exactly what I went through, but it could be completely different for anyone. Let's start with day 0, or the day that we arrived. So I'm gonna walk through this super quickly. We basically had to meet at the airport in Czech Republic, even though we were going to Poland, but the hotel that we were staying at, the whole hotel was actually for this event. The hotel that we were staying at was in the outskirts of Poland, but it was so far away from the main Polish airports that it was closer to fly into Prague and then take a bus from Prague to this little village in Poland. So we all flew into Prague. I flew in very early, like at around 9 a.m. and we were only supposed to meet up at around 5 p.m. So I went into the city center. I have a whole video on that as well, actually. It was like 4 hours in Prague because I only had a few hours to explore the city center. And honestly, I was so glad that I went into the city center, because I kid you not, I was terrified. I was almost crying on the phone to my mom because I was so nervous. I was so nervous for meeting the people. I was so nervous for potentially being the youngest and only girl there. I was so nervous for this whole week. Like, going into the city center really distracted me and really helped me. So I'm really glad I went. And also I got to see Prague, which is insanely beautiful. I ended up going back to the airport around 5 p.m. I kid you not, the hour before, so I arrived an hour before 5 p.m. I arrived at 4, and for a whole hour straight I was basically on the phone to my mom, and like my mom was just trying to calm me down, and I was like, I know theoretically I'm gonna be fine, I know it's fine, but I genuinely felt like I was having like really strong anxiety, which the second I met the first person, I was completely fine. It's the build up to it. I don't know. It's something I'm working on. But I just wanted to share that I was very nervous going in. So once I finally decided to go downstairs to meet the whole group, there was around like 60 people there when I arrived. But in total, there's 100 of us. So when I arrived, there was around 60 people. I went to the main organizer. They had like their t-shirts on and they told me which group I was in. So basically the whole group, there's 100 people, but obviously we cannot do every single activity with 100 people, because imagine explaining to 100 people how a specific breathing technique works, and every single person has questions, and you know, it doesn't make sense to have such a big group. Obviously for the main events like hiking the mountain or I don't know, jumping off the cliffs, like we did it in big groups. But for the smaller activities that we did day to day, we had our small groups of 20. So there was 5 groups of 20. Each group was assigned a color. We were team Orange Lions. I love everybody from my team, honestly. Once I went to my group, I already calmed down. Like once I spoke to the first person, I was calm. Like I was fine, completely fine. And actually, crazy coincidence, but one of the first people I talked to on the whole trip ended up being my roommate on the trip. So that was an insane coincidence. Honestly, this trip had a lot of coincidence. I'm gonna say coincidence, but it's like alignment. We spent the whole 4-hour bus into the hotel talking. Oh no, we slept for like 30 minutes. But everybody was exhausted. A lot of people were flying in from the US, so they had been traveling for 1 or 2 days before. So the bus. Everybody was sleeping. We were there chatting. We got to see a little bit of the countryside of Poland. It was so snowy. It felt like we were going on a school trip. It was really exciting. And then we arrived to the hotel at around 10 p.m. We had like a quick little dinner. Most of the people didn't really eat the dinner because I think it was just like soup or something. We had a little introduction. So the instructors introduced themselves, and then Wim Hof himself came and he like did a little introduction that we actually missed. Like the 1 minute I went to the toilet, Wim Hof comes out, but it's okay. We were like singing songs. He was explaining how like excited he is for the week and everything. Actually, another thing on the instructors, basically each group of 20 had 2 instructors each, and those were the 2 main instructors that we were going to be with. And that's also why everybody had a very different plan, because your plan really depended on your instructors. And I'm very happy with the instructors we have. Honestly, I love all the instructors. The instructors our group had are very special and I love them so much. Moving on, everybody went to sleep. It was a very long day of traveling. Oh, and another thing I want to mention, the village we were staying in Poland is, okay, I don't know how to pronounce it. Brzeżka? No idea. But you'll see the name here, so you'll understand what I'm talking about. It was a very tiny village. It was very cute. It was on the mountains. There was a lot of snow. It was very cold. It was very beautiful. Anyway, day 1, I wake up and I'm freezing. And I don't think it was actually cold. I think I just woke up being nervous because obviously on day 0 when we arrived, I wasn't expecting any cold exposure. But on the first day, it's like, well, it's the first day. You're going to start today. And I honestly was very nervous, but that passed after first few minutes. But basically what we did is we got together with our group. We went downstairs to do kind of like our first breathing session. We also had some icebreakers, some games to kind of get to know each other because it was the first day. And honestly, we were going to be spending so much time within our little group that it was good to do icebreakers. They honestly really worked. Yeah, we also got to know how the breathing method works specifically, like the proper scientific explanation of it, which I cannot explain to you, but in the moment I understood it. That's all that matters. Another thing I want to mention is our day was split up into kind of 4 parts divided by each food break. So we would have our first activity of the day, then we would have breakfast, then we have a second activity, then we have lunch, third activity, dinner, and then after dinner it was a 4th block, but it was like free time. So some people chilled with their friends, some people went to the sauna, some people went to the hot tub, some people went to the ice cold river, some people went to sleep, some people went to reflect. So it was kind of free time. I ended up doing almost the same thing every day, which I'm going to explain in a second. So yeah, first block of the day, we did breathing, we introduced ourselves. For the second block, we went to do our cold exposure, but the river that we were meant to go to was frozen over. Like there was ice and we couldn't go in there. Apparently, I'm not exactly sure, but something along those lines. So what we did for our first cold exposure was walking barefoot in the snow for like 10 to 15 minutes. And honestly, I'm very glad we did that because I feel like I needed one day to kind of not be so terrified of the cold, because if I had went into like an ice cold river, I would have tensed up a lot because I would have been very nervous. And when you tense up, you honestly make it a lot harder for yourself. Like if you just let go and just like relax your muscles and pretend that you're warming the water around you from within, it's a lot easier. Whereas when you're tense and you're like super nervous, you get like, if you tense up literally right now, like my arm starts shaking and then that makes you shiver, which doesn't work well. So I am glad that it worked out the way it did, because I had that little bit of cold exposure on the first day with the walking barefoot in the snow, and I was like, okay, I'm good, I'm fine. Basically, we played a game in the snow. Like we kind of, I don't know what the actual game was. It was kind of like tag. We had to like catch each other, and it was so freaking funny. Everybody was shouting because it was so cold, but because we were playing a game, everybody was like kind of laughing at the same time. It was so freaking funny. But nobody, when I say shouting or screaming or whatever, I don't mean anyone's in actual pain. Like it's not strong pain. It's just kind of, I don't know, imagine putting your feet in the ice. Like it's kind of like, and then it passes after a few seconds. First 2 minutes are kind of like, what is going on? Like, why am I doing this to myself? And then it kind of goes numb and it feels like you're walking on pillows. It's honestly really nice. I really like this. Then we had lunch, and for our third activity of the day, we did our first huge group breathing session. So we did a breathing session led by Wim with 100 people. Now, I cannot explain to you how incredible it feels to do the breathing session with 100 people. Like the energy in the room is insane. We were doing the breathing session for 1.5 hours and it felt like 10 minutes and 5 hours at the same time. I don't even know how to explain it. When you do the breathing technique alone, it is not the same. So for example, if you're watching this video and you've practiced the Wim Hof method before, definitely look into going to a workshop, because breathing together with a group of people is such a different experience than breathing alone. I mean, breathing alone is still amazing. You should still do it. Not just breathing technique. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was insane. I cried so much. I saw this on some of the documentaries when I was watching like the Wim Hof documentaries, that sometimes people after doing the breathing technique, they start crying, not because of anything specific, but because it's almost just like the body letting go of that tension. And when you're crying, you don't even apparently know what you're crying about. And when I saw that, I was like, that is so interesting. Like, I wonder how that feels. I want to experience, like, I didn't have the intention of I want to cry, but I was curious and I was so open for that. Like, I was like, I kind of do want to cry. I can see how that's just like your body letting go of the tension. And I cried so much. I cried so much on the first day of the breathing. You genuinely cry without a specific memory attached to it, without any specific reason. Like, you're not sad, you're not remembering something, you're just crying. Like, it just feels like your body is literally just letting go of something. It was insane. It was amazing. Everybody went to sleep in such a good mood, because this was like the first group huge breathing session that we did. I think we did that every night. Maybe we didn't one night, but I'm pretty sure most nights we did that. And then we had dinner. Everybody had a good dinner, because it's like right before dinner you would be doing the breathing session. Then it was free time. For free time, almost every single day I went to the sauna, because a lot of people from my group as well went to the sauna. And to be honest, it was a very good socializing place, because the sauna was like a little, I'm gonna like insert a picture, but it was kind of like a circle thing, but it was really long, so it could fit like, I don't know how many people, but there would usually be around like 15 people in there. And it was really good because you could be far away from each other, but you could hear everyone really well. So there would be really interesting like group conversations in this little sauna. And they had a hot tub. It was amazing. I mean, towards the end of the trip, it kind of got disgusting because everybody was using it and sweating, like sauna, hot tub, sauna, hot tub. But that is not important. One thing I do want to mention, that day was the first day I kind of tried an ice bath. First of all, it wasn't actually an ice bath. It was like 5 degrees and it was inside. And I was not prepped for it at all. I had not mentally prepped myself for going into this ice bath. So when I went in, like I said, I tensed up. And I kid you not, I couldn't stay in there for even 15 seconds. I was shivering like crazy. And that made me really nervous for the next day, because I was like, how am I gonna do? Because they told us in the beginning that eventually on the last day, we're gonna do a 10-minute ice bath in ice cold water in the river, in moving water. Like, moving water is even colder. So I was starting, like, this moment got me so scared, because I was like, I can't do 15 seconds. Like, how am I gonna do even a minute? And this really scared me off for the next day. But there's a reason I'm telling you this, and it's just because you need to mentally prep yourself for these things a little bit and not tense up so much. So anyway, let's get into the next day, but keep that in mind because I'm gonna bring it back up again. Okay, let me see if I covered everything. I have like my notes here because I don't want to forget all the details. So on the second day in the morning, we did the same thing. So we did some breathing techniques. We also did some other activities that I don't really remember now, but they were all really fun and we were always like learning something. And I don't know, it was made in a very, very good way. I love my instructors, the way they did everything. Some days we did yoga, some days, oh my God, one day, I don't remember what it was called. We did some sort of trauma release exercise on our hips. And we basically had to like lie down and kind of like open our legs and then our hips would like fall open. I don't know how to explain, but it basically released trauma from the body. It was insane, but that was on one of the last days. I don't remember when that was. But yeah, the morning we always did like a breathing session followed by some sort of other little activity. So after breakfast, our first like main activity of the day was going to do our first ice bath. So I don't know what to call this. I don't know if it was a river. It was like a waterfall and you're gonna see a video of it here. But it was it wasn't a lake, but it wasn't a river. It was like the bottom of a waterfall. I don't know what that's called. We were supposed to do 3 minutes there, and as I told you, like I was very nervous because the night before I tried to do an ice bath and I couldn't even last 15 seconds. But in the morning when they told us that we're gonna do 3 minutes, I was like, let go of everything. Like, you yesterday is not you today. You got stressed out yesterday, you tensed up yesterday, that's yesterday's stories. Don't bring that over into today, because yesterday is not, it's not the same thing. Like, you create how you feel about it in the moment. So I was like, you know what, I'm fine. I can do 3 minutes easily. I can do it so fine. It's so easy. I'm so good. we're good. So I went into it with a good mindset, even though I was very nervous the whole time leading up to it, almost. We also did the horse stance, which you're gonna see a video of this as well. Basically, I feel like a lot of people see this and they're like, what the hell is this? Basically, the reason we do this, once again, don't know the full science, but when we squat, we are engaging our biggest muscle of the body, which is on our thighs / quads, I don't know. So it warms up our body, and by doing this, we are moving, so we keep our hips stable, but we move our intercostal muscles, which are where your abs are, I guess, and we're moving our hands at the same time, which brings blood back into our fingers, because when we start getting cold, all our blood rushes to our organs, our most vital organs. So by doing this, you're kind of, you don't have to like make it pretty. I just like making it pretty because it's like, it feels like I'm like from Avatar: The Last Airbender or something. But yeah, we did that to kind of get ready. Also, to actually get to the waterfall, we kind of had to like hike for like 20 minutes. So on our way to the hike, we went in shorts and a t-shirt to kind of like get assimilated to the cold. Assimilate, is that a word? To get used to the cold. By the time we got there, like, we had been walking in shorts in the cold for 20 minutes straight. We did the horse stance. We then took our shoes off. We went barefoot for a little bit. We got undressed like down to our swimsuits. Is that, my English is turning off. Yeah. And by that point, honestly, I wasn't that nervous anymore because I was like, if I am not cold, like, it is snowing, it is winter, it is cold outside, I'm in my swimsuit, barefoot in the snow, and I'm feeling honestly completely fine. If I feel fine now, like, who says I'm not gonna be fine in the water? Because a week ago, I would have thought that just standing barefoot in the snow would have killed me. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in, it's gonna be good. So I went in and I just tried to stay as calm as humanly possible, and I just went into the deep of the water. Like, up until here, there was a point where I even kind of started going a little bit too deep because it was like here, and I put my hands in the water as well. Now, for a lot of people recommend to keep their hands out of the water because, I don't know, I guess it's a little harder for some people because when your hands get really cold, it's hard to like bring blood back into them. I don't know why, I just felt like I'm gonna go full in, and I literally was just like this, and I was just like, and the time felt like 10 seconds. I felt so at peace. Like, of course, the first second you're cold, of course. And of course, like, for the first few seconds you hyperventilate. But I felt so relaxed. Like, that was the first time I ever felt truly that level of present. Also, like, hearing the water, because it was like kind of like a waterfall, or I don't remember what it was now. Oh my god, was it a river? I don't remember. But it was so peaceful, and I don't actually think we did 3 minutes because the way they timed us, but everyone went in at different times. So I don't think I actually did 3 minutes, but I think it must have been like maybe 2.5. And I felt so good when I came out because I was like, that was easy. That was so good. And I felt really proud of myself because the night before I was so nervous, and I literally just proved to myself that it's not about my body, it's not about my actual abilities, it's literally about my mindset going in. Because I had one experience the night before, and I had a completely different experience the day after. It only took a day. It can take a second to change your mindset around and change your whole perception of the situation. If I had gone into the water like this, I'm so scared, like, I would have been freezing, I would have been struggling, I would have went out before I had even fully gone in. So that was already like the first lesson that I was like, whoa, amazing. I felt so good after. Insert clip now. That was so much easier than I expected. Oh my god, that went like 10 seconds. That was 3 minutes. We did 3 minutes. Look at my body. After the water, it literally feels warm to be out. So I'm so happy right now. I felt so good after that I even went back in shorts. Like, we were supposed to get dressed after, but I was like, can I go back in shorts? Because honestly, I'm feeling good with the cold. I'm like happy with myself right now. I'm proud of myself. So then we came back, we had lunch, we did another group breathing session with 100 people. And then after, like, before we started the breathing session, Wim goes, okay, and after this, we're gonna go outside and you're gonna walk barefoot in the snow for an hour. And everybody laughed. Like, I'm not kidding. Every single person laughed, being like, yeah. Because like the day before we did like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So we were like, yeah, okay. I don't know, maybe the instructors believed him, but personally, like, I thought he was joking. I really thought he was joking. But after we did the breathing technique, he goes, okay, everybody, like, get ready. I don't know if you need to like get changed or something. Meet me outside now. And I was like, oh, Okay, so he's legit. Obviously, everything is voluntary. Like, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But we went outside, and honestly, for me, that was probably one of the hardest things to do in the moment. Because the other things, like, for example, that we're gonna talk about in a minute, the cliff jump, I was really scared up until it happened. But in the moment, I was fine. I was really scared for the 10-minute ice bath before it happened, but in the moment, I was fine. This, in the moment, I was like, how long is it? How long has it been? How long is left? This was probably one of the hardest things for me for some reason. But yeah, we all walked for 40 minutes straight, barefoot in the snow, in our shorts, at like in evening time, winter in Poland in the snow. But yeah, it was kind of getting hard towards the end because also everybody was walking in a circle because we didn't have like a huge property to walk around. It was like a specific little area that we were walking around. So the snow kind of started forming into ice and it was kind of getting a little bit slippery, but it was completely fine. But yeah, also they were playing some music, so it was really fun. Everybody was singing along to like pass the time. And yeah, I don't remember what we did after. I must have went to the sauna. I literally went to the sauna like every single day. Moving on to day 3. Day 3 was the day of the cliff jump. So we were told that we could partake. So once again, everything is voluntary. You technically don't have to do anything. You do everything you want to do, but I wanted to do everything. But we were told that there was this 7-meter cliff jump. The cliff jump that you always see Wim Hof jump off of in his documentaries on his Instagram page. That exact little cliff. I cannot explain how scared I was because at that point I had never jumped even 1 meter. Like I have never jumped into water. Not even like in a swimming pool, of course, but you're not actually a meter from the water. Like when you're jumping into a swimming pool, you're like this far from the water. Like you jump and you're in the water already. But like I had never even jumped 1 meter into the water, let alone 7, let alone into ice cold freezing water. I was so worried. Thankfully, our group was the first group to go and I volunteered. I was like, please, can I be one of the first? So I was the 3rd person to go and I am so glad because in that situation, I didn't have time to think. Like, obviously, I had the time to think about it beforehand because we had, like, our morning activity, we had breakfast. I was thinking about it the whole time. I was like, how am I gonna do it? How am I gonna do it? But then once we actually got to the cliff, we didn't actually have time to think about it. We got undressed, we ran to the cliff, and we stood in line and we jumped. So glad I was one of the first ones to go. If you're going on this trip and you're scared of heights, but you wanna do the jump, try to be one of your first in the group to jump because honestly, it helps. When you watch people struggling to jump, you get scared. I really noticed that the groups after us, a lot of them struggled a lot more. And I think genuinely it was because they were watching people jump and they kind of, the fears got in their mind. So actually, another thing I want to say is I landed kind of badly. Like I didn't hurt myself in any way, but if you see in the video, I kind of fell forward. So when I landed, I didn't land on my chest, but I kind of landed a little bit too forward than I would have liked. Like I would have liked to kind of land more like this, like on my bum, but I landed kind of more forward. Like I started falling forward and I started like running midair and I kind of fell on my chest. So when I was in the water, I felt completely fine. Like the cold water shocked me, but when I came out the cold water, I was literally hyperventilating because first of all, the cold water shock. I always hyperventilate when I go into water, ice cold water. Some people, when they first take a dip in ice cold water, they don't hyperventilate, but for me, always like the first 10 seconds I hyperventilate. So that mixed with like kind of falling on my chest, the first like 5 seconds when I came out the water, I was like, I felt like I had just been born again. I was like, even the instructor that was waiting at the bottom of the cliff, you can even see that he also saw I didn't land well because you can see he like dropped his coat and he was like, you know, paid attention straight away because I think he saw that I could have potentially, I don't know, like I could have not hurt myself because of the way I landed, but because I landed on my chest, he could probably see that I was hyperventilating. He was asking me like, are you okay? And I was like, Yeah, and then he even did this. He was like, look me in the eyes, tell me you're okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. But it was completely fine. I'm not like trying to put fears into anyone. It was such a good experience, honestly. But I'm just saying that I need to learn how to jump. Also, Wim was there like supporting everyone and taking pictures of everyone and like shouting. And like once in a while, he would just run up the cliff and be like, can I jump again? Can I please jump again? It was very like wholesome of him. Also, I don't remember if it was the morning of, but at some point he told us that like when we already knew about the jump, he said something like, don't think about the fact that you're jumping, you're just taking a step forward and falling. And for some reason, that is what I thought of like the whole time leading up to the jump. It genuinely helped me. It was like, you don't have to think of this thing of like, I have to jump. Like you just have to take a step forward and then the work's gonna happen for you. Like gravity's gonna do its job. So that helped me a lot because when I jumped, even though I did kind of jump up instead of just forward, I really just felt like I just have to, like, I didn't hesitate because I was like, I just need to take a step and then it's just gonna do its job for me. It's not like I have to jump, I have to land, I have to fly in the air. Like I don't have to think about those processes. I just have to take a step forward and it's gonna do its job. That's another like little metaphor I took away from that as well. I was like, usually in life it could be the same. You don't have to think about everything you have to do and all the steps and blah blah blah. You just have to take a step, and sometimes gravity, or in this case if it's with something else, like the world, the universe, whatever, who you believe in, it will do its job and it's gonna work out how it's supposed to work out. But I really liked that he said that because it calmed me down. So I think in the evening we must have had another breathing session. I don't really remember. I think the evenings were more or less the same, but it was always a very different experience. I'm so happy even just talking about it now. Moving on to day 4. Day 4 was the day of the big hike. So this is the thing that a lot of people know they're gonna do going into this expedition, because this is the thing they also do in the documentary. So for example, in the Yes Theory documentary, they went hiking up this mountain just like in shorts and a sports bra, or men weren't wearing any shorts. So they were hiking up a mountain for like 4 hours in winter. I keep saying that, but like let's take that in for a second. Like look at these pictures, like look how cold it is. Honestly, at this point I wasn't that nervous. Like I think out of all the big activities, this was the thing I was least nervous for. Even though this was like time wise, this was the longest thing. We were told that we were going to be hiking for about 6 to 7 hours. So time wise, even though this was the longest thing, this was by far the thing I was least worried about. If you compare it to like the cliff jump or the 10-minute ice bath or even the 40 minutes walking barefoot, this was for sure the thing I was least nervous about. I was very excited. Only thing I was nervous about was my muscles. I was like, I'm not even scared of the cold. I'm scared of my fitness levels because I don't know if I can actually just hike that long. I've never hiked in my life, let alone for that long, let alone in the cold. In the morning, we did a huge group breathing with all 100 of us. So no, my battery's gonna die. Okay, so apologies for change of quality, but my camera died. But I'm on a roll. I don't want to go charge it for 30 minutes and then, lose the flow. So I'm going to keep telling you guys. Hope you don't mind. So basically in the morning, we started with the big group breathing. So this was the first time we did it in the morning because usually we would do it in the evening. But because it was like this big hike coming up, we did it in the morning. Also, they told us like some safety precautions and just some things to think about. Another thing actually that I didn't share, every single time we went to the cliff, we would kind of be doing cold exposure already because we would be like in our shorts or in t-shirts or whatever. And every time we were in the cold, we were told to stay quiet and not speak to people. Of course, like if you want, you can speak to people, but technically when you lose focus and when you start speaking, you actually become a lot colder. So if you're focusing on your breath, if you're focusing on yourself, if you're focusing on feeling like you're warming up the air around you, you actually feel a lot warmer. Like you can try this yourself. If you are in a cold place right now, you can go outside and you're cold, like just fully focus on your exhale longer than your inhale. So for example, try to make your inhale for 3 seconds and exhale for 6, and then inhale for 4, exhale for 8, and then keep doubling it, keep making your exhale longer and longer, and just focus on yourself, and eventually you will feel warmer. Whereas when you start talking, when you start getting distracted, you can start getting cold again and shivering without kind of realizing. So this is kind of something they were reminding us as well. They were saying that of course on a 6-hour hike, we're gonna wanna talk, but on the way up, when you get cold, it is not selfish to just block yourself off because everybody knows the context. Like they said to everyone, look, if somebody just is not talking to you, maybe they're cold. Like let them concentrate themselves and get themselves warmed up. For the way up, most people were silent. We were silent like I would say, like for me, I'd say it's different for everyone, but for me, I was silent maybe 40, 50, 60% of the way. I don't know. That's a big range in percentage, but I'm not really sure. But genuinely, I felt pretty fine. I was wearing a hat the whole time, and I also wore gloves just in case. We didn't have to wear gloves. I think halfway through I decided to take off my gloves, but I felt really good, honestly. We kind of got lucky though, because it wasn't that windy, and also once we got to the top of the mountain, it was very sunny. So we definitely got lucky. I'm not saying it was cold. I'm not like taking away from what we did, because what we did is still amazing, but it definitely could have been worse. If it was very windy, the wind would have been like someone slapping you. So yeah, we got lucky. But yeah, honestly, the time felt like 4 hours. I can't lie. It didn't feel really quick. Like it was 4 hours up and about like 2.5 hours down, even though it was the same way, like because when you go down, you go much quicker because of gravity. And also when we go up slowly. And another thing they did, they wanted to keep the whole group together. So first of all, it was separated by groups, red, orange, blue, purple, whatever. But what they said they did, I don't know if they actually did this, but what they said they did is that they put the slowest person first so that the whole group would be maintained, because if the fastest people were going first, then the group would have really separated, because the fastest people would be like up there, the slowest people would be down there. But because they put the slowest people first, everybody had to go at the same rate, and it was more of a challenge for us. So I'm glad they did that as well, because I'm not a hiker. One thing I want to say, it's not related to like anything Wim Hof, but just like fun story. I fell so many times. I fell, I think 4 times, because basically because we're hiking up snow, it can get very slippery. So we had to wear these spikes on our mountain boots. So it was like hiking boots with spikes, literal spikes. And basically when I was walking, because the spikes and the boots were so big, and I had never actually worn hiking boots in my life before then, I feel like I didn't feel how big my feet were, because like the hiking boots were really big, and then when you put the spikes on top as well, the feet are really big. So I must have been walking with my feet too close, because what kept happening is I kept tripping on my spikes. So for example, this foot, like there were spikes here, I would step on like the spike with this foot, and then I would trip, like I would fall on my knees. And I think like around halfway through, we got to a point where, I'm gonna put a video as well, it was kind of just like a flat area where we just were kind of like catching our breath, we were warming up, we were doing the horse dance, and we were standing in a circle, we were doing our horse dance, and somebody, I don't remember who it was, but they're like, we were standing in a circle, and someone in my group just points at my knee, and they're like, and my knee was just covered in blood, like there was just blood going down, because I had fallen so many times. I didn't know ice could hurt you that much, but apparently it can. My knee was covered in blood. It was stinging, and I felt like there could have been blood, but I didn't realize there was that much blood. So then my whole group was like trying to help me. They were trying to fix my spikes. They were also like cleaning my wound and like putting the plaster and everything. Everyone was so caring. Everyone like was looking after me. I felt very guilty in the moment, because I was like, I'm sorry. Like it's my fault. I shouldn't have fallen. But I know that it's not my fault, because it's like, how can I control me falling? But I felt really bad. But that was kind of a lesson for me as well, because I am not good at accepting things from people. I feel very guilty when people help me, and like in that case scenario, like of course people are gonna help you, but I felt so guilty. So for me, that was another lesson. I was like, look, sometimes you have to accept help. That's just life. Like you can't do everything on your own. So I hope you like these little random deep life lessons I'm throwing at you, but I'm just sharing my experience and like little specific incidents that I remember. But yeah, I fell a lot, and on the way down I kept tripping. I had to go with my instructor like hand in hand, like we were like this. I can't do it to myself. We were going hand in hand, because literally I kept slipping, because one of my spikes on the way down had fully broken. So like on the way up they kept breaking, I kept falling, but on the way down one completely broke. So I was going with one hiking boots with spikes, and the other hiking boot didn't have spikes, so I kept slipping with one leg a little bit. So I was going like arm in arm with my instructor, and she also told me how she became a Wim Hof instructor. And actually this is a whole different thing, but I after this trip really became interested in becoming an instructor eventually, and she told me how she got started. She told me that she became a yoga teacher. She got 2 years of teaching experience, and she applied because in order to even apply to the training program, you have to have 2 years of teaching experience. So I was just getting to know her story about that, and I was very interested in that because we'll talk about it at the end, but I guess you can see where this is going. But yeah, after we came back, we had a little Q&A with Wim. It was very chill. Everybody was so happy with themselves and so proud, and everybody was chilling. They were playing music. The Q&A, I don't even remember how long it was. It was like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, but it was so funny. Wim is so funny. Like, he's so funny. But he's also at the same time the same as he is online. The thing is, I'm talking about him as if he's a celebrity, but he is a celebrity. I was fangirling. And yeah, also after the Q&A, some people also took pictures with him. I went up to see him twice because I went up the first time to like take a picture with him. But then I was like, well, I just took a picture with him, but I feel like I didn't like see him. I feel like I just went up to take a picture, and I was so unhappy with that because I was like, no, like I want to hug Wim. Like, he has changed so many lives. He has changed mine, like just by this trip alone. And I felt like this crazy gratitude towards him that I was like, okay, I'm gonna go up again. I hope he doesn't find it weird. But I was like, I came up to him again. I was like, I don't want to take a picture, but can I just hug you? And then we hugged. He was so sweet. I don't know. He's such a nice human. Hey, baby. Oh. I'm so grateful to him for sharing this with everyone and like passing on his knowledge and all the instructors and everything. Moving on. Day 5 was the day of the 10-minute ice bath. I was also very nervous for this because I was like, okay, I'm good with ice baths now, like more or less. But to this point, like I still hadn't done that many ice baths. Like I had done the 3-minute ice bath, and I probably did maybe 1 or 2 minutes in the little ice bath outside the sauna. But like we didn't actually do an ice bath every day. So I was nervous because 10 minutes is a lot. So in the morning, what we did is we went to see Wim's house because we were all very curious what it looked like, and each group I think got a moment to go visit his house. So we saw the house, like all the documentaries that you see with him whenever he's in his house in Poland, that's the house that we were in. So we kind of got a little tour. We went, also did some ice baths in his ice baths outside his house. We went to the sauna. And I don't know, we just like walked around his kitchen and dining room, and we just saw what everything was like. And it was really cool to see it in real life because like I said, it really felt like a celebrity moment, like seeing something you've seen online for so long and then seeing it in real life, and it's like, whoa, I am physically in the place that these videos were shot in. So it was really cool. His place is so interestingly designed. Like he has this thing that I'm gonna show, but it's basically in his dining room. It's like this design, and then in the middle, I don't remember what it is in the middle, but there's some like little figurines or something in the middle. It's really interesting. It was really cool to be in his house. But basically this was kind of like the reflection time. So we did an ice bath, and then after that ice bath, like we all did our own times. We just stayed in for as long as we wanted. I didn't want to push myself too much because I knew that we were going to do the 10-minute ice bath, and I think I must have stayed maybe 4 minutes. I don't remember what it was. It was something about like I started thinking about how am I going to do the 10-minute ice bath. So before I went into the ice bath, like in Wim's house, like before we were doing like the challenge, I tensed up and I struggled in that ice bath a little bit. Like not during the ice bath, but when I came out, I started shivering a little bit. So I was trying to get rid of that shiver for literally like 30 minutes. It was so long. But once again, it was like a reminder, like it's gonna be shocking when you first go in, but it's my perception of it that's gonna like probably make me shiver or not. If I'm going in expecting, like I was going in thinking like, oh my god, I have to do this ice bath well because later today I have a 10-minute ice bath. So with that high expectation that I was going in, I put myself under stress and I started shivering a lot after the ice bath, which I actually wouldn't mind. I don't mind shivering, but that was the moment where we kind of all started doing our reflections and like how the week went for us, what we learned. Like we could just talk about whatever we wanted, but the whole time everybody was sharing everything. I was like, and when it got to my turn, I was still shivering so much. Like I was speaking like this, like I was like this, and I just said to everyone, I'm like, I'm sorry everyone, I'm just still shivering. It was crazy. Like I've never experienced such strong shivers. But yes, after that, I don't remember. No, we had lunch. And then for dinner, we went to the river, and all the groups, like we did a big prep beforehand. First of all, we did our horse dances. We made sure we were warmed up. And then group by group, we went down into the river to go for 10 minutes. So we had our buddy, which we would go down into the lake with, and then we would like form a circle with our group. And I was so nervous going in, and honestly, like the 10 minutes were hard for me, but I did it.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The thing I learned from it as well is whenever I looked at other people, it made it much harder. Like whenever I closed my eyes and focused on my exhale, like making my exhales longer, and when I focused on not shivering, it would be a lot easier to warm myself up. Whenever I would open my eyes to just like see how someone else in my group is doing, because sometimes automatically that's what we want to do. We want to see how another person is dealing with it, because we're like, okay, well, I'm struggling. Are you struggling? And you kind of look at them. And whenever I would look at other people, I would honestly struggle 10 times more. I really felt that I would start shivering, because this is another thing. We were standing in a circle. So we had our arms on other people's shoulders. And this is where my people-pleasing things came in, which is not good. But in this sense, it helped me, because I really didn't want to shiver, because I was like, as soon as I start shivering, the people that are beside me are gonna feel that I'm shivering, and they might start shivering too, because when you see someone shivering, sometimes it gives you like a little shiver as well, you know? So whenever I would look at other people, I would notice that I would start shivering a little bit. And then when I noticed that and I was like, oh no, I don't want to make the people around me feel colder because of me, I would close my eyes and I'd be like, I'm not shivering. I'm relaxed, I'm like in the water, I'm warming the water up, I'm warming the people around me up, like I am a source of heat. I would instantly warm up again. And when they started counting down the 10 seconds, like 10, 9, 8, I cannot explain how happy I felt, because I was like, I don't know how much longer I was gonna last. After it, I felt amazing. We did the horse dances again, we warmed up, I didn't shiver. See, this is just, it shows again that for me personally, I don't know if there's more science behind why sometimes you shiver and sometimes you don't. What I think it was more comparing. Like the first night that I did the ice bath, I struggled because I was thinking, how am I gonna do a 10-minute ice bath if I can't even do this? And it ended up bad. And then on the day of the 10-minute ice bath, I was thinking, this ice bath better be easy, because how am I gonna do the 10-minute ice bath if I can't even do this? So it was when I started comparing and thinking into the future instead of staying in the present that I would not do well. And then after we did that, we all went to the hot tub and we were chilling with Wim. And he was just telling us a story. I don't remember what it was about now, but it was so surreal. I was like, we just did a 10-minute ice bath in a river with moving water, like freezing moving water. Now we're all in a hot tub with Wim Hof like right beside me. Like, what is going on? What is life? Oh my god. Also, there's a video where he's like explaining something and he puts his hand on my head, and that's like such a core memory for me for some reason. Like, I remember that so well. He was like, we hug each other and we love each other, and he put his hand like on my head. That's the moment where I was like, what is life? But yeah, after that we had dinner and we had like a whole goodbye ceremony, and everybody was singing songs, and it was so wholesome. We had like a little bonfire. Yeah, it was very sad saying goodbye to everyone. And then the next morning at 5 a.m. we were leaving for the airport, so we had to wake up at like 4 a.m. and my flight was at 8 p.m. so I had another whole day to explore the city center of Czech Republic, because we went back to the Czech Republic. But this time I wasn't alone. This time I was with friends from my group. Coming into the conclusions, I genuinely met some of the best people I've ever met in my life. I have never formed such deep connections with people so quickly, like in a week. It was just like, you just skip the small talk and you just connect deeply with people, and it was like, I really want to go back and do another one. Like I said, my big takeaway as well is that I definitely am interested in potentially in the future becoming an instructor, because I don't know, like I want to be in those spaces. I want to share that with people. I want to meet people that are going through the same experiences. I want to share this thing that can literally change people's lives. So I am definitely on my way to doing that right now. I'm currently actually doing something in the process that gets me closer to that, but we'll talk about that in a whole other video. But okay, let's do like a quick fire round of these questions. Did the cold exposure help you build more self-discipline? Yes, by far, because especially when I came back, I was like, if I can do that, I can do anything. And once again, based on all the lessons that I mentioned earlier from like, I don't know, whenever I did the cliff jump, I was like, it's just a step forward and then you're falling. Like you don't have to think of every single step. Like you just have to take the first step and things will work out. And in general, that helped me a lot. Was everything included? How much expenses did you have? Yes, we just paid one thing. I think it was 2,700 and something. I'll put the price here, I don't remember, but everything was included, accommodation, food, literally everything. How did it feel to be the youngest person there? Thankfully, I was not the youngest person. There was someone who was like 17, I think. I could be wrong. He was there with his dad. I don't know, maybe he was 18. There was other people even younger than me because when I went, was 21, and there was people that were 18, 19, 20. So I was definitely in the youngest 5 to 10 people there, but out of 100 people, I was not the youngest, thankfully. How did you feel about it being mostly men? That was another thing. Thankfully, it wasn't 50-50. It was like 70% men, 30% women. But I kid you not, I expected like 2% women. I genuinely expected like 3 girls to come. It was like 30-70, maybe even like 40-60. No, there was a lot of women. I felt good, I felt secure. Also, our group had the most women out of every single group. What have you been implementing in your routine after the trip? So I have been doing 2 sessions of the breathing every single day. Like obviously sometimes I'll do 1, or sometimes if I really don't have time, I'll do 0, but most of the time I do 2 a day. And that's about it. I do want to be doing ice baths, but because I'm traveling a lot right now and like I'm in my digital nomad era, I can't actually, like I don't have a bath. I don't have anywhere I can fill up a bath. That's my only issue. So I'm trying to do cold showers, but honestly, cold showers are much harder than cold like ice baths, because ice baths, you like are immersed in water. You feel like you're almost like part of the water and you're just like calm. Whereas a shower, like every time you turn around, it's like cold, you know? I mean, it's still something I have to practice, but I need to implement the cold showers more. Did you feel sick at any point? No. This was like a huge thing. I don't know. I only know of 1 person out of 100 that I know got sick. It just proves that there's a lot of myths with like going out into the cold and being sick. I mean, of course, you can get sick. And if you're in the cold for like very, very long, maybe you can get sick. I don't know. Like that's the sciencey part of it that I don't know. But I didn't get sick at any point. My throat didn't hurt at any point. I didn't have a runny nose, nothing. I was in the cold like so much of the day and I did not even feel sick for a minute. And another thing I want to mention is after the hike, I was really expecting the next day for my muscles to be sore, like so sore to the point that I can't even walk. My muscles did not hurt at any point, even though we were hiking quite a lot, because of the breathing technique, because the breathing technique decreases inflammation. So like no pain. I kid you not, no pain at any point. It was insane for me that I could hike for 6 hours and have no pain the next day. Like insane. Will you repeat this experience in the future? 100%. Next year, I definitely am trying to do the summer one. So I would like to do the winter one again, but I don't think I'm gonna be in Europe this winter. So hopefully the summer one, 100% I want to go. It's an amazing experience and I don't think it's ever the same because first of all, the instructors that are there are always different, and also the people that go are different, and the people that do go there are amazing, and I feel like they aligned with so many different like morals and interests with me, so I 100% would go again. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. I just wanted to share all the little details. I wanted to share my lessons from it, and I'm so glad I finally filmed this video. I put it off for so many months because I was truly like, I have so much to talk about, and I tried to film this video like 4 times yesterday, but we made it. I hope you enjoyed it. If anyone is watching from the expedition that I went on, or if, I don't know, any instructors watching this, or anyone, I don't know, Wim Hof himself, I love you all. You guys are doing the most amazing work, and this is something amazing that is just like has to be spread and people have to know, because genuinely, once again, I have said this a million times, but it changes lives. It's changed mine. I would really recommend you guys to look into the method, to look into the expedition, to look into anything, honestly. Just look him up. He's an interesting person. It's an interesting method. There's a lot of cases where it's helped a lot of people. So yeah, I have talked so much. I will see you guys next time. I love you all. Peace out.